This is a really big deal, and China is furious. So the USA has just announced a diplomatic boycott against the Beijing Winter Olympics of 2022. This is huge news, and I'm going to tell you why. You see, for China, the Olympic Games is not actually about the games. Believe it or not, it's not about the sport. It's more about what China can gain politically. This video is brought to you by Exter Wallets. Now, guys, I cannot tell you just how much this wallet has changed my life, and I'm not making this up. I've never been much of a traditional wallet guy. They always get in the way. They're huge and fat and bulky. They don't fit nicely in a pocket. So I generally try to carry around as little as possible. I kind of went with some of these other new modern wallets, and I've never really been impressed. It's always been a difficult hassle to get your cards in and out, etc. But this is the first time I've actually found a wallet to be very easy and useful to use. I know it sounds weird. I mean, a wallet's something we put our cards and money in, right? It shouldn't really be fancy, but these are. You know, the days of pulling out a fat wallet to impress everyone are over. Nowadays, it's about simplicity, sophistication, and high tech. And that's what these wallets are. They've got a built-in RFID blocker so people can't scan your cards. And I absolutely love the solar-powered tracker, so you can keep track of where your wallet is on your phone. Pretty cool. Now there's already a generous discount on these wallets right now on the Exter shop, but if you click on the link below and go to my SerpentZA link, you'll actually get a massive discount on top of that, so it's definitely worthwhile. I'd grab one for Christmas. It's the perfect gift for your old man or yourself, or anyone really. I don't see anyone not liking these things. These things are fantastic. Good quality, well built, sophisticated, elegant. It's really what you want in a wallet, and that push button fan out action is second to none. Now for China, this is a big deal. You see, believe it or not, it's not actually the Olympic Games, it's not the games part that China really cares about. It's more about the political clout and all of the face that they can gain from these games. What people seem to forget is just how important the Olympic Games are to China. They are in fact probably the main reason why Xi Jinping came to power, as he was given political responsibility to oversee the 2008 Summer Olympic Games. The astounding success of the Games saw Xi Jinping thrust into the spotlight, and of course it steamrolled his career and allowed him to rise into power. The Games were also a massive showcase for China's achievements and really put China on the world stage. Once again, China's hoping for another big win with the Winter Olympics in 2022. Bear in mind, this will be the first time in history that both a Summer Olympics and a Winter Olympics will be hosted in the same city. So it's a big deal. They want to showcase their current propaganda talking points that the government is forcing out. Things like green technology, low carbon emissions. I mean, we're talking about the Olympic Games, but honestly, that's not what all the propaganda coming out of the Olympic Games is about. Literally, it's about how they're building all these low energy structures, how electric vehicles are going to be everywhere. Talking about 5G and data management, how well China handled the pandemic. You know, the pandemic that infected the world due to China's appalling pandemic mismanagement in the first place. They seem to think that the whole world is going to buy their false numbers and ridiculous fake dog and pony show once again. With the world's cameras focused on China, they'll use this opportunity to brag about how amazing they are, and of course, a lot more superficial fluff. I'm not going to get into how a lot of this stuff is fake and bullshit. I'm here to say that this is actually the ultimate goal, to push this propaganda on the world while the cameras are there, for everyone to see. This boycott has really made China mad, and they're scrambling to make sure that they can still salvage this heavily invested sales pitch. The thing China doesn't seem to realize is that if you want to show off and brag to your neighbors about how cool your house is, you can't be murdering and kidnapping people at the same time. Many of you may be thinking, well, you know, this is a diplomatic boycott, so what does it matter? The athletes are still going to go and compete, and so the games will still go on. But you're missing the point. Remember, it's not about the games, but the political clout and showing off what the government has achieved. The actual athletes in the games are little more than a convenient vehicle for this propaganda. The thing is, the world is getting tired of China's bald-faced lies and mistreatment of anyone they deem critical of the Communist Party. They constantly abuse the lack of due process and rule of law in China to silence dissent and to twist the narrative to their will. They are enraged that they can't do the same to those outside of the borders of China, and so use underhanded intimidation and coercion to try and silence journalists and voices abroad such as myself. They are so desperate for validation now that the Chinese state media propaganda arm is desperately mobilizing its disinformation army and calling in all reinforcements. After mocking anyone who thought that the USA would diplomatically boycott the Olympics, Liu Xin, China's premier English-language propaganda host and anchor, scrambled for validation by calling on CCP sycophants that China's state media mouthpiece CGTN has on a leash. You know, they have all these foreigners that they either employ directly or heavily incentivize or pay money to amplify Chinese state propaganda. And rather than apologizing for her arrogance, because remember, the CCP and the CCP's agents, especially propaganda agents, will never ever apologize. They will never ever accept any kind of criticism. All they will ever do is double down and blame some or other foreign power rather than accept any responsibility for any bad action ever. So that's what she did. She got all these sycophants in, she got all of these CCP shills to come in and validate her point that it's the rest of the world that's bad and they're just bullying China, you see, and China deserves to be doing what it's doing right now. These foreign bloggers, vloggers, and influencers are paid or heavily incentivized by CGTN. They are fully in the pocket of the Chinese state media and are now a part of China's massive international disinformation network. I have time and time again proved links to the Chinese state media and propaganda arms of the CCP to all of these foreign sycophants who work for CGTN, who appear on CGTN, who amplify the Chinese state media biased propaganda narrative. These are not people that can be trusted. As much as they rely on smoke and mirrors, at the end of the day, it's very easy to prove that these people are being paid and are not some kind of independent influencers or independent thinkers. They all belong to the Chinese state media propaganda machine. I just want to say a massive congratulations to the USA for having the balls to stand up to the CCP. China does not have the right to host the Olympics under the current circumstances. They are threatening Taiwan with armed conflict. They have broken their promises and treaty with Hong Kong. They continue to abuse and marginalize the minorities in China. The oppression of freedom of speech, the arbitrary detention of lawyers, activists, artists, and foreigners, as well as the mistreatment of Tibetans and cultural genocide of the ethnic Uyghurs in Xinjiang, are just some of the horrible things that the CCP is responsible for right now. With all of these and many more questionable and atrocious actions by the Communist Party of China, the Games should not be supported. It's time for other countries to step up to the plate and follow the USA's lead. We need to boycott the 2022 Beijing Olympics. Anyone with any decency and any morals should be able to get behind this boycott. This is not something spiteful. This is the right thing to do. The Communist Party of China treats the rest of the world like an enemy, whilst the rest of the world has been playing ball and helping the CCP for decades. We always hoped that China would open up and liberalize if given access to the free market, if given access to trade with the rest of the world, if given a fair shake at things. And you know what? The rest of the world has given China more than a fair shake. They've given them preferential trade deals, preferential treatment when it comes to international diplomacy, actions and insults and various undiplomatic things that China has done that would usually completely ostracize a country from the rest of the world have been allowed. The rest of the world has turned a blind eye to many of the atrocities and the bad things that have happened under the leadership of the Communist Party of China. But enough is enough. If we're going to have a proper dialogue, if we're going to be part of this international community, if China is going to be part of that international community, they have to abide by certain morals, certain ethics, and certain laws, which they seem completely unwilling to do. And until they're willing to step up and stop being immature and childish and vengeful and a cry-bully, the rest of the world should hold the CCP to task. Anyway, like the USA and its diplomatic boycott, I hope the rest of you out there all stay awesome.